What's up, family? Okay, let's have some fun. There's no more fun on sports television to be had than when you have a list. So the current list, the top 5 teams in the NFC. We all know who gets the most praise, so I'll make this real easy. Top 5 teams in the NFC. Number 1, Philadelphia Eagles. There should be no dispute. There should be no discussion. It is as simple as the Eagles, so I will keep it moving. The hardest decision for me was who do I put it to? I'm going with the Niners. I get it. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have the most important position on the field. But the other 10 positions look real good. All pro good. That's why I got the Niners at 2. At a close 3, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, full transparency. I believe the Cowboys will have a better regular season than the 49ers, but I believe the Niners will go further in the playoffs. That's why I have the Niners at 2, Cowboys at 3. At number 4, this is a surprise team. Seattle Seahawks, 9-8 last year, made it to the playoffs. They got smacked around by the 49ers, but this year I do think they will ascend. Jackson Smith and Jigba added to the receiving core of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Then Witherspoon at cornerback added to the back end of Quan, Dre, Diggs, and Woolen. I think they will be really good. Lastly, rounding out my top 5, Minnesota Vikings. Say what you will about Kirk Cousins, and you will say a lot. What you cannot question is his consistency. And last year, though the Vikings won several games by 3 points or less, they won several games, 13 to be exact. With that being said, Eagles at 1, Niners at 2, Cowboys at 3, Seahawks at 4, and Minnesota Vikings rounding it off at 5. Let's head to the desk, not necessarily to discuss the list, but I've been thinking about this question, LeSean McCoy. I will ruffle your feathers a little bit. Oh. Eagles paid us both, but they paid you a lot more money, so I can be a little more judgmental.
That's who you are. You do judge.
The Eagles, they are best as underdogs. We know this. You know this firsthand. The year they won the Super Bowl, their starting left tackle, Jason Peters, was out. Someone who I think should go into the Hall of Fame, Darren Sproles, was injured. Starting quarterback, Carson Wentz, got hurt. Starting middle linebacker, Jordan Hicks, got hurt. Starting special teams ace, Pro Bowler Chris Maragos, got hurt, yet they still won the Super Bowl. Lane Johnson, best right tackle in football, he ran out during the Super Bowl, I believe it was, or after the win, with a dog mask. To really show the world we are underdogs. That's when the Eagles are best. But this year, they are the odds-on favorite. Do the Eagles have too much? Is there being too much confidence put into the Eagles going into the season?
You know what? I was going to give you this big animated speech, right, and pouring sweat, but I don't have to. It's the Eagles, right? And we're talking the NFC?
Yes, sir.
Not the NFC. NFC?
Yes, sir. NFC.
I mean, you had a nice little list up there. No, man, they're not overconfident. It is what it is. It's the truth. Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC.
True.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Best roster in the NFC. Would you agree with that?
Niners.
With no quarterback? Who's the quarterback?
Fine.
Joe, you playing quarterback?
I'm available.
Gosh. Okay, yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, I mean, best roster, best quarterback, top 3 coach in the NFC?
You could argue it.
Come
sure.
on.
You could argue
So, to get into a deep conversation, if we're overconfident or there's too much confidence in the Eagles, it's crazy. I won't even get into that.
Don't entertain it.
I won't even entertain it.
Won't even entertain it.
I will say this, though. I like your list, bro. I like your list. But if I had to make one adjustment, I would move the Vikings up a little bit.
Fair.
Right? I like the Niners. I would move the Vikings up at number 3. I would split that. Number 3 with the Vikings and the Cowboys.
Yep.
No.
Fair. So he won't entertain it.
I won't even waste my time entertaining it.
Joy,
Say that.
will you? Are we putting too much confidence in the Eagles?
No, because who are you putting your confidence in?
Sorry.
Who are we putting our confidence in? So let's go down the list. All right, it's the Cowboys. I mean, I'm not living that life. Are you living that life? Trusting the Cowboys? What kind of life is that? You trust the Cowboys for 27 years. I want someone to be that loyal to me. Please, anyone. 27 years of disappointment and you still there? We them boys, it's a lifestyle, okay?
I would love her.
Trust, love, you'll do anything for the Cowboys. So I'm not entertaining that lifestyle. You can do that if you want to. I would love to say the 49ers because they do have an incredible roster and they have a great coach and a great culture.
That's true.
But we don't know who's playing quarterback for them. And if I had to guess, it's probably going to be multiple people. So are you trusting Trey Lance to play quarterback for the Niners? Are you trusting Brock Purdy, who is still recovering from surgery, to play quarterback? Or Sam Darnold?
Come on.
I mean, I got his numbers here. I don't know if you have time to go over them. We're not gonna do that.
America know them numbers.
Don't do it.
Okay, I don't think we forgot. So really, who else is there? The Seahawks. I know you have a lot of faith in the Seahawks.
Not to be better than the Eagles, though. Of course, I draws line.
But so somebody has to be better than the Eagles in order for us to have this conversation. And I just don't see anybody. I can just poke too big a hole in any team that's coming up to present their case to be better than the Eagles. It's just too much that I can poke into.
Okay, I got a question for you. If I give you Brock Purdy healthy, same Brock Purdy we saw at the end of last season.
Well, I mean,
quarterback.
He said if.
I'm just saying.
He said if. Okay, he said if.
If I give you that Brock Purdy, now does that change your view of the 49ers and their ability to challenge the Eagles?
I would say they could challenge the Eagles. I would still lean towards the Eagles, but I would say they could challenge the Eagles.
Okay, so the challenge.
I would agree too.
So the challenge then for the 49ers really is to be able to survive or thrive to a certain extent until Brock Purdy is back.
No.
You're not giving that.
No. Because
you're not
because
you're
the
questioning
49ers.
whether Brock Purdy's going to be the same.
Well, yeah, that's a legitimate question.
I mean, we don't know.
And we don't know that.
Okay.
We don't know what Trey Lance is.
At all.
We know what Sam Darnold is. And what I do know about the 49ers is they're going to be injured. So at some point, I would be shocked if the same quarterback played from week 1 to the end of the season into the postseason for the 49ers.
The reason I believe that the 49ers are positioned to be okay until Brock Purdy is back is because of what they had, because you're talking about the roster that they have, because their number 1 defense last year got even better with Hargrave, right?
They did.
And I look at the offensive weapons that they have, that specifically Kyle Shanahan has, that are not necessarily quarterback dependent. Christian McCaffrey's yards after catch, he got 1,000+ yards after catch with Kyle Allen as his quarterback. We know what Deebo Samuel can do. So if I am going to trust anyone to be able to construct an offense that can live with a mediocre quarterback, it's Kyle Shanahan with those weapons. And I don't need to score that many points. I don't need to manufacture that many points because I have the number 1 defense. So I'm just making a case why you're looking at me like that, like I'm making something up.
No, I don't think you're making it up. In fact, I think it is Groundhog Day, and we need to investigate because every single year I hear the exact same pitch on the 49ers. Every single year. Every year is the same thing. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's okay, but we got a good roster. We're going to get it done. Next year, it's Trey Lance. We don't know what he is, but we're going to get it done. Now it's the very last pick in the NFL draft. He has an unbelievable run. We're good. We got to figure it out. We don't need a quarterback. Well, we actually got this experiment to play out in real time where they literally did not have a quarterback. And what happened?
Lost.
So I actually think what you're saying, I've heard many times before. I hear it every year with the Niners.
I will say this, though, Slick. You do have a point. I think that they'll still find ways to win games. You know, I think Cal has done that for some time, right? But to even compare it with the Eagles, even with your scenario like if and this, I mean, it's like Joy said.
But it all comes down to Brock Purdy for me.
Well, here's my question, because Joy asked a great question, but I think the answer is one of those that's right under your nose. She said, who in the world can compete with the Eagles? My question is, can the Eagles compete with their own expectations? Sadie, you know this firsthand.
Good question.
We haven't seen a repeat division winner in the NFC East since the Eagles, 2003-2004. Now, you might say, Acho, that's an archaic stat. Let me give you one better. The Eagles have had 5 opportunities to be repeat division winners. They've won the NFC East 5 times since that 03-04 window, and they've never repeated. So now the question is why? The Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017 with a relatively young roster. Fletcher Cox was on that team. Guess what? He's still on that team. Jason Kelsey's on that team. Guess what? He's still on that team. Zach Ertz was on that team. Guess what? He's still in the league. Jordan Hicks was on that team. So Nick Foles was still on that team. The point being, the next year, that team that still had the same nucleus didn't get to the same destination.
But that was, sure, but who was in the NFC playing at that time? What were the quarterbacks?
Aaron Rodgers.
And they had injuries, too, though.
But that's the point I'm getting.
Okay, but if you're going to plan for injuries, like, other than the 49ers, because they're the most injured team in the NFL, so it's, like, safe to say that that's probably going to happen. Everyone's going to have injuries. Like you can't be like, okay, well, we're going to plan for a lot of injuries for the Eagles.
That's a great point. Everyone's going to have injuries.
Okay.
When I really examine what happened in the NFC and really the NFL at large last year, by the grace of God for Philadelphia Eagles fans, LeSean McCoy, myself, everybody that likes the Eagles didn't really get bit with the injury bug that much. So much has to go right, and Shady says it all the time. A lot has to happen to win a Super Bowl. Eagles didn't win it, but they got really close.
But this conversation is predicated upon what we have right now. Like we're making these predictions assuming everyone stays healthy and these are the teams as is, which is unrealistic, of course, because that's never how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like right now, we don't know who's going to play quarterback for the 49ers. But we don't know who's going to play quarterback for the 49ers. We're just doing it as is.
And another thing is, when you comparing that team, the next year, they weren't the best team in the NFC. The Eagles weren't.
Correct.
Okay, the Eagles are now. That's one part. Another part is, like, when I look at the team, you said they were older, they were gone. It was a whole different team. Like Nick Foles left, right? And then Carson Wentz was up and down. All the injuries to wide receivers, you can't.
But that's my point. My point is there's so much ambiguity to five.
Yeah, but like we can't have this conversation then. Like
I'm just talking on. I'm trying to take the injuries away because anybody get injured. But if you look at the team, even when that next year, that team was the best in the NFC, where the Eagles are.
Fair.
And that roster, oh my God, this roster right here might be, again, the best roster in football. So when you compare the 2018 team to this team,
This
like
roster,
night and day.
Eagles.
And then we got Jalen Hurts. We didn't have Jalen Hurts back then. We got him now. That number one back then, that was just like, he was young. This was the real deal. Slick, don't look at me like that. You know we favorite.
subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.